as a lot of it comes down to that opener, looking to see what the Regigigas player has available, but finding the right cards at the right time can definitely be tricky, and sure enough, starting things off there with the Dunsparce and the prizes could be weird.
He got a haircut for Australia.
The prizes is going to mean Rahul's Regieleki is going to have free reign to take one-hit KO after one-hit KO on Lugia V-Star, so that immediately is going to put Pedro on the back foot. Rahul didn't prize anything too bad. Of course, some great cards in there like Research, Ultra Ball, all of that, one of his Regi pieces, but nothing that's detrimental and going to immediately lose him the game or anything like that.
Well, that's a great way to start things off, I suppose. Except you're looking at the other side. Lugia is going first. He's going to be taking the initiative here and getting things started off there with that Capture Energy.
Yes, Capture Energy, excellent, going to allow you to search your deck for any basic Pokemon and put it directly onto the bench. And Pedro will, of course, be taking a moment here to check the prize cards. So we all know as Lugia, you know, your turn one, you want to get the Archeops down in the discard pile. You want to get your Lugia V in play. After that, though, those are kind of just the bare minimum things you want. When it comes to Capture Energy, when you've started Lugia, what do you think the first things are that Pedro's going to be eyeing up to get down into play?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to be checking your counts, first of all, to see if you have the Dunsparce, see the mana fee. Occasionally, we see players go for a Pokemon like that Oranguru to make sure that they've got a consistent setup, but this is a deck where, on the other side, your opponent could have turn one knockouts lined up. This is how Regigigas functions at times, so sometimes you see the players actually going for that second Lugia V.
Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, the turn one Regi attack, it's not something you see too often, but
sorry, I'm
whenever Rahul flips over that Regi Drago, Pedro's got to, you know, at least have that be a consideration in his mind. It looks like that Oranguru was already in the hand, so had free reign to get down the mana fee perfect, and does use that Primate Wisdom, placing a card on top, and does hit that Archeops off the top. But is there a way to get it in the discard pile? And it looks like the answer is no. That would have been really strong because Rahul, of course, is playing multiple copies of Marnie.
Yep, it's not going to be happening this time around. Did get that second Lugia V down too, so going to have that on the bench ready to go if Rahul does have that big turn. Looks like it may be a little bit slower here as we do see the Ultra Ball just going to discard away that Twin Energy, usually looking for those Auroras to start things off.
Yeah, love getting energies in the discard pile. Like you said, you want to get those Auroras down ideally as quickly as possible, but honestly, just getting any energies down gives you so much flexibility in order to use that Ancient Wisdom ability. And right away, Rahul knows what the important Regi is in this matchup. Regieleki coming into play.
Yeah, Regieleki so strong, not only just working in that weakness, but you see that mana fee down as early as the first turn, just because when you start adding in the additional 40s from the Terra Spark, you start to make math a little bit easier,
yes.
and you can potentially steal some prizes too.
Absolutely. Yeah, so for Pedro, I think you want the mana fee and the Dunsparce in play ideally. He's not going to be able to do that in this matchup, but one of the reasons you need that mana fee down, not only for the Terra Spark, but also that other Regieleki, its targeted bolt attack. If you don't have the mana fee down, targeted bolt can just take out the Dunsparce itself. So I think regardless of the Dunsparce being prized, mana fee was coming down. And this is going to be a strong turn here from Rahul so far. We see 3 of the Regis on the bench, 1 in the active, and a Marnie to go with it.
Yeah, and the path to the peak is so great here. Going to put your opponent on a 4-card hand and lock out those abilities like the Summoning Star. So going to be asking a lot of Pedro. And in this setup, there are 3 Pokemon already on the bench. So if it is a Pumpkaboo that's going to be used, then that also limits the amount of Archeops you get down into play.
And this is tough too for Pedro because there's 3 Pokemon already on his bench. And one of the main ways that you can get rid of Path to Peak is with that Pumpkaboo, its Pumpkin Pit ability. But if you put Pumpkaboo in play right here, you're now not going to have space in order to put down 2 Archeops. So it's really a tough spot.
Yeah, we see the Bird Keeper going to try to help out here, get some additional cards into the hand. I believe at least 1 Archeops was in the hand now.
Yeah, and does find the Evolution Incense as well with an Ultra Ball. So we will see Pedro get 2 Archeops down, get a Lugia V-Star. We'll be able to Pumpkaboo, but the question is it worth it? Can you go lone Archeops in this game? And I think Pedro may have to.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing up against the Regigigas, it's not very common to see them having a gusting effect like a boss's orders, but actually we do see Rahul playing the 1 copy,
Ooh.
So if he does find it at the right time, that could be dangerous.
Yeah, for a long time, the Regi players were just playing 3 copies of Serena, and so you had no option to gust something like an Archeops, but every once in a while we've started to see Boss's Orders make its way into these Regi decks, and looks like Rahul has opted to bring that in here. It is just a one-of, and you don't have something like Luminion to easily find that supporter, so it might not be a likely feat for Rahul to pull off the knockout on the Archeops, but it's at least a play that he has the option to make, right?
we've got Dragon Horde, we're fine, you know? You just draw up to 4, find the exact card you need, and you'll be okay.
So I like this decision here from Pedro. Chose to go with the Oranguru, I believe. Just try to see if you can maybe find that lost vacuum. That way you don't have to put the Pumpkaboo in play. It didn't work out, though, so he does have to go with the Pumpkaboo. And we're going lone Archeops here in this game.
Yep, this is definitely a way that you have to play this just because of the way that the cards fell. Wanted to have that second Lugia down because he was worried about the Regieleki, and now it's going to be just playing with these 2 energies from the deck each turn. Should be enough, at least in the early stages of this game, to compete, but maybe in the later stages we see that being awkward.
You see the V-Guard and the Capture Energy being brought out from that Archeops. Double Turbo in hand. That will prep the Tempest Dive. Takes the KO and does discard the Path to the Peak. The Pumpkaboo, of course, discarded that Path to the Peak, but now we see Rahul sending up this Regieleki and immediately is going to throw down this Ordinary Rod to put the Regi back into the deck, put that Drago back. He is now going to be looking for a full bench of Regis and a way to get some Auroras down, and he's not quite that close yet. Probably about 30% of the way to what he wants to achieve.
Yeah, this is not ideal. The other Pokemon in the hand is a Regice, so that's not going to get the job done. But we do see an Aurora Energy that's going to go into the discard pile now.
Just needs one more Aurora or a Speed Lightning Energy, and then, of course, also to get all his other Pokemon out. I see the Registeel and a Quick Ball, but I think we are still missing that energy card. I think we're missing one more Regi as well. So going with the Trekking Shoes to try to find something else. Does ditch that Path to the Peak.
Yeah, it's not as useful anymore as we've already seen the Summoning Star would just only be helping out against potential Lumineon, but you're looking at a full bench on the other side. We're not too worried about that.
Looks like Rahul maybe had a broken sleeve there, so I wanted to get that replaced real quick, throw it over to the judge, see if they can handle that, and he can keep on with his turn. There is that Hisuian Heavy Ball, so that can actually get out the Regigigas, and yeah, this is going to work out nicely. He's going to be able to pull off the attack here. Oh no, not quite. He doesn't have that extra energy, so he's going to be able to get the Ancient Wisdom, but doesn't have the energies yet for that attack.
Yep, it could be Static Shock time. You get 100 damage in there. It's not too terrible.
Hey, for one energy, you know, that's pretty efficient.
That's not exactly how Rahul drew it up here, and does have that searching effect there. I believe it's just the Quick Ball now.
Yes.
To go ahead and grab the Regidrago will be so close, but just one Aurora away from getting the job done here.
So Rahul does have a Scoop Up Net in hand, so there could be a line for him to just Scoop Up Net the Aleki into the Drago and try to draw a couple cards, maybe see if he can get into it, but it's so unlikely that off the 2, maybe 3 cards you would draw, you would get the exact combo needed to pull off the Regieleki attack, right?
Well, we'll see the energies go down onto the Regieleki here. I don't know if there's much else you really want to do at this stage. It's not exactly how you drew it up.
Maybe manually retreating? No, it will just be, yeah, the attack of the Static Shock, dealing 100. Yeah, I could have maybe understood the retreat, right? Preserve the Choice Belt. That's your main way to one-hit KO Lugias. But I guess putting the damage in play here makes it so that any of your other Regis can knock this out as well. So it's kind of the same thing. Yep,
this works out pretty well here. And you don't have to lose that Regidrago as well. It's going to be a way to continue to draw some additional cards here. It's been an awkward situation just trying to find some more cards, and usually you have that gift energy to help out in situations. Just finding the twin energy early on, it's not exactly the one that you're looking for in this matchup.
Yeah, we haven't been able to see the gift quite yet. Pedro is going to load up this other Lugia V and does have an Evolution Incense to grab out another V-Star or an Archeops to thin out if he wants it. So does grab that, puts that into the hand. It's really nice, actually. This is one of the matchups where you want to attack with 2 Lugia V-Stars because ideally you have Dunsparce and Manaphy in play. So it makes it a little more questionable, though, when you're only working with one single Manaphy, not having the Dunsparce available as well.
Would you switch to a 3-3 line then, Chip, or would you continue with your 3-2?
Well, Pedro has gone with the 3-2, so
I'm not one to question Pedro then.
So after the knockout, Pedro does go down to 4 prizes. He's pretty decently ahead here, but this game is far from over. Regi only plays single prize Pokemon, so it's pretty reasonable for Rahul to just find a way to sweep back into this game. I mean, with 2 multi-prize Pokemon already in play, Rahul's just 1 knockout away from tying this game up immediately.
Yep. If Rahul doesn't find the right cards here to attack with the Regieleki, we'll at least have potential knockout lined up with the Aurora Energy and the Regi Drago. We do see the Choice Belt in hand here, so the math actually works out fairly well, and it looks like he's going to go ahead and make that attachment.
So pretty interesting choice there from Rahul. Off the trekking shoes, saw the Regi Alecki from Astral Radiance, not the one with Terra Spark, and did choose to discard it. Now, he does need to find a Regi Alecki in order to use Ancient Wisdom this turn. So what do you think of that call? Discarding the Astral Radiance one, hoping to find the other.
It's a big risk, and I don't know if it's going to pay off here. I understand it as you're trying to map out how you're going to get the job done, and it didn't look like it would make sense if you had to stick that Pokemon into play. Your opponent could maybe work around it with boss's orders and never really have the issue of being one-shot by a Lugia.
As it stands, though, all Rahul has is the Gift Energy and a pass over to Pedro. And Lone Archeops is not the way you want to go with the Lugia matchup, but if you get multiple turns of not having your Pokemon KO'd and you can just flood the board with energy, it kind of makes up for the fact that you only got one Archeops out.
It doesn't even look like it's a single Archeops game. There's so many energies in play right now that can go ahead and set up for potential retreating with the other Archeops there. It's plenty of riches on this side for Pedro.
An embarrassment of such?
Some would say.
The Choice Belt does come down onto the Archeops, obviously an inconsequential card in this matchup, so Pedro just wants to get it out of his hand, doesn't want it to be in the deck if Rahul does play another Marnie or something along those lines. And it looks like Regi Alecki was one of the next few cards, so he was really close to pulling off the attack, but as it stands, Rahul did miss. Yep,
Rahul is finding all of the right cards at the wrong time now. Already down to 3 prize cards and going to have to try to get the job done here, but everything should be happening this turn now. We do see that Energy Lotto, the Aurora Energy, and the great discard there in the Professor's Research. So big turn lined up now. Just have to make sure that these prize cards line up perfectly with V Pokemon so you can catch back up.
We do see Energy Lotto finds the Capture Energy. Attachment will go onto the Regigigas and brings down the Drago. Ancient Wisdom is lined up. We could see Regigigas go in with the attack, but without a Choice Belt, it's not enough to KO this Lugia. Rahul has had 2 Choice Belts go down that he got basically no value from, right?
Yeah, they have not lined up very well.
He's not able to find another one here. He does play 3 Choice Belts, but I think 2 have gone to the discard pile already. He was unable to find that 4th copy.
And we saw the Escape Rope was in the hand there too. Just didn't want to play that down because your opponent's just going to send up a Pokemon like that Pumpkaboo or something, and you're not going to be able to take a knockout regardless. So just values putting the damage down onto the Lugia. And maybe we'll see a play later on where the Manaphy's gone and something cool can happen, but it's asking a lot.
I think that's what Rahul's hope is by going for this attack. He's got a bunch of Scoop Net in hand, so he could have attacked with Regi Alecki this turn if he wanted to and taken this 2-prize KO, but I think he's seeing that he's kind of far behind in this game. He doesn't have but 1 Choice Belt left. It's going to be difficult for him to even get a 1-hit KO with a Regi Alecki moving forward, so he wants to go for a play where he might have to work in the boss on the Manaphy and then clean it up later on with the Terra Spark while it's on the bench.
Does have that last Choice Belt potentially to work in maybe a knockout on that Lugia V that's sitting on the bench, getting its 4th energy down now. And we'll see how this lines up, but once you see this prize card taken, it is an uphill battle.
Pedro will Tempest Dive, KO that Regigigas, and discard the Path to the Peak from play. Rahul, I think, has over 7 cards in hand, so doesn't even get to utilize the Gift Energy.
Is that all 4 Scoop Up Net in hand? This is exactly how Regi draws for me every time that I use this deck.
So we do see Registeel was the promotion here. I wonder if we're going to be seeing a Heavy Slam come out. It does get a KO. It's kind of a rare attack to see utilized in the Regi deck, but I mean, hey, this is something that'll happen, right? Sometimes you just got to load up and attack with what you got.
Yeah, this is a Pokemon that you're not worried about replacing on the bench. Should be pretty easy to work that in and then get a Pokemon that's relevant like that Regi Alecki down later on. So might as well make some use of it. It's not really like you're finding some additional hit points on those other Pokemon that are relevant.
And with all these Scoop 'em Net in hand, Rahul feels confident to just burn one on the Regigigas so that he can use 2 Ancient Wisdoms this turn, putting a couple of energy on to this Regi Alecki. Rahul finally takes a KO, but with Pedro at just 2 prize cards remaining, I don't know if Rahul can take 4 prizes before Pedro takes 2.
Well, Pedro does find that 2nd Lugia V-Star now.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great way to knock out this Registeel and get down to 1 prize card. Rahul's going to have to find a way. And yeah, as soon as the powerful energy comes down, Rahul says, there's no way that can win. You got 2 attacks lined up.
Yeah, Rahul's maybe playing to that out of hoping that Pedro's maybe prized the last powerful energy. There is always, of course, the chance that happens. And if that's the case, Archeops actually can't reach for the KO on something like the Regigigas, potentially something along those lines. So, but as it stands, Pedro's able to win game number 1, and we're moving into game 2. Rahul just did not have much go his way in that one.
Yep, that's the Regis, and that's how it goes sometimes. You're going to find those hands that don't really work out. And there were opportunities, of course. If you find an early gift energy, something like that, and of course you're playing against an opponent who prized their Dunsparce, you could see that going very differently, and it just did not work out that way this time.
Rahul must have had a bad batch here. We're seeing another busted sleeve, so we're going to get that sorted out and hopefully get into this next one. But they keep going down. Rahul he's got to be a gentler shuffler, I guess.
he's gonna put Chris to work here. Chris is definitely very aware of how this goes, as he is an established Pokemon player himself.
As we're preparing for this next game, I mean, do you think there's anything Rahul could have done differently that you think he needs to adjust going into this next game, or was it really just a situation of the cards not falling in the right order?
Yeah, it's probably the latter, as we saw the opportunity there with the other Regieleki. You could bench that down and maybe get
that's the
some
one
attacks
turn.
off.
Yeah.
But you're also going to be in a situation where that's not the Pokemon you want.
Yes.
But we saw all those scoop-up nets. You definitely could have made a strategy where you just pick that back up, find the other Regieleki, and then you're right back in the swing of things.
Yeah, that's the one turn of the game where I think it was the big swing. I think if Rahul just says, all right, I've got to put this Regieleki in play that I don't really want in this matchup, but it's going to help me get closer to my attack, I think that would have probably been worthwhile. Looking at the prizes for Rahul, nothing too bad. I mean, that 1 Aurora energy is not ideal. That's a super important card for this matchup. You do play 4 of them, though, but it's all about finding them early and getting them into the discard pile quickly.
Yeah, you need to find 2 usually pretty early. Of course, Sweet Lightning energies are featured in these decks on occasion, and
if
you find those at the right time, that will also make up for it. So
we don't see any Dunsparce in the prizes for Pedro, but hey, he's got a 3-2 Lugia line.
Yeah, sometimes you prize the Lugia V-Star.
There you go, Kyle.
Down to just a 2-1 line and a Pumpkaboo. Let's see if Pedro is able to work his magic one more time, or if Rahul Reddy can go ahead and get himself in good contention here in game number 2.
Moving into this next one, it looks like Rahul is kicking it off with that capture energy, bringing down the Regidrago. And looking at Pedro starting that Pumpkaboo, that is, you mentioned it, not what you want to see, and especially when Rahul slams the path on turn 1.
Yeah, you're looking at basically one of your few ways to move that. You just have the Lost Vacuum at this point to get rid of the Pass to the Peak. That is going to be a one-of with your 2-1 Lugia line to get a Summoning Star off.
Pedro will have a little bit more reach for the 1 Lost Vacuum. He does have that Irida in the deck. Can't use Luminion to fetch that out. That's usually how you like to, find that tech supporter, which gets you your tech item card. Won't be able to quite piece all that together, but he's at least got 2 outs in order to get rid of this path. It's not looking great there, though.
Yeah, you could have drawn it up a little better here. Instead, I'm just going to have to go with finding the Archeops, which, I mean, that's probably some good news here. Could potentially get that into the discard pile. Find some basic Pokemon to help out here, because Pumpkaboo needs some friends.
Pumpkaboo absolutely needs a little bit of help. It's not doing it on its own. Lugia V hits the bench with that Aurora Energy, and a Serena will actually be utilized here to discard another Archeops. So setting up this Lugia V nicely with the energy, getting a couple Archeops down, and drawing a few cards to hopefully find that vacuum. That's, exactly what Pedro's got to be hoping for at this point.
Yep, you're not going to be using that Amazing Rare Evital anytime soon. Go ahead and throw that away. Maybe you can find a card to help you out in this situation like that Oranguru and get some extra draw here, but you're going to go ahead and play it safe, worried about losing that Lugia V. Rightfully so, though. It can be a scary situation at times, and we do know that Rahul is playing a few ways to bring that Lugia into the active spot.
So something really interesting could happen here, because Pedro only has 2 Pokemon on his bench. He's got the Lugia V and the Dunsparce. Rahul does play 1 Escape Rope, and we saw it in the last game. Whoa, look at that.
Double Aurora Energy into the discard pile. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, no problem. Who cares about prizing an Aurora Energy if you've got 2 of them in that opening hand?
Speed Lightning Energy to go with it, too. Just needs to find some Pokemon here. It's kind of the name of the game.
And I think I do see a couple here, a couple of outs at least, a quick ball it looks like. We do see the Regi Gigas hit the bench as well. Scoop up net could get that Regi Drago into the active spot, but we need now another way to move it. Rahul's trying to see if he can piece together the attack here, and I think he may be just short. Let's see if he can find it.
I think it involves having to play out basically the whole hand.
Oh, he may have it.
Which is unreal.
The turn to Regi attack. Exactly what this deck is built to be able to achieve, but it doesn't happen all the time. Rahul's making it look easy here, though.
Yeah, this is pretty phenomenal. Getting all of the right cards at the right time here. Oh, is it just an Ultra Ball that's there? So going to lose the Choice Belt, but that's probably an understandable loss at this stage. Get that Regi Drago into the active here. Play down those cards, Rahul.
Yeah.
You need to draw the full 3.
Yeah, he almost
Wow.
did, but does find the Regirock and will get off the turn 1 attack, using Ancient Wisdom to throw those energy into play.
Woo!
That is excellent for Rahul.
Yep, taking down the Pumpkaboo. Not exactly the Pokemon you want to target down, but hey, you got a turn 1 attack. That feels pretty good.
A prize card's a prize card, and that's what Rahul was missing in the early turns of last game.
Yeah, well, throughout the rest of the game, too. He couldn't find basically any of those.
Pedro's going to take a moment to check through the discard pile, see what Rahul's resources look like. You always want to make note of those Ordinary Rod in the discard pile, and it actually looks like Rahul has 2 Ordinary Rod down already. That is something that actually could be a massive deal.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, skimping a little bit here, playing just 3 of the Ordinary Rod. We've seen a lot of players that play 4, and you know, you can start to target down a specific Regi and really disrupt how the Regi Gigas functions.
Yeah, so Pedro probably already also looking at what Regis have hit the discard pile, what exactly things are looking like. But this game is going to kind of devolve quickly for Pedro if he's not able to get this Path to the Peak out of play pretty soon. He can do it next turn, potentially. Dunsparce will protect this Lugia from being one-hit KO'd next turn, Rahul actually does not have a way to hit for 220, so Pedro now will have a few options as ways to get rid of this Path to the Peak, because he could, you know, find a Lugia V-Star, double Turbo Energy, and then bump it with the Tempest Dive, but if he's doing that, that gives Rahul an opportunity to put another path into play.
Right, and it's a lot of prize cards being lost along the way.
Yes.
So we do see the Read the Win here, trying to draw into some of those additional resources that you mentioned. The Lost Vacuum or the Irida would be fantastic here. Are you kidding me? Trekking Shoes losing the Aurora Energy feels good.
Yeah, really strong for Rahul. Looks like he does have the Escape Rope in the hand, so he could get his Regieleki active if he wanted to and start using Terra Spark to try to spread some damage. There is no Manaphy over on Pedro's side. That could be an option for him, and yeah, it looks like that is the move. And I actually think he's got enough energy in the discard pile where he doesn't even have to do anything like retreat off the energy from this Regi Drago.
Well, let's see what the decision is. This is tough because...
Can you lose the Dunsparce?
Yeah, the Lugia V is going to be stranded, so you're going to be losing those prizes either way, and maybe that just lines up for the Terra Spark to work its way onto the Dunsparce too, so they both seem like really tough calls.
It looks like Lugia V will be promoted for now, and Terra Spark will start to lay some of that damage into play. As Rahul just pretty quickly... Rahul's pace of play is excellent, by the way.
Yes.
Just slamming through. He knows exactly what he wants to do every single turn. Using that Terra Spark, only dealing 120 thanks to Dunsparce. That Nest ability, of course, making it so Lugia does not have any weakness. And putting 40 damage onto both of these bench Pokemon.
Yeah, quick look at the hand. Pedro did find the Irida, but is it too little too late? At least going to be able to remove the Path to the Peak now by finding that Lost Vacuum, but afterwards, it's a lot of work. You got to catch up pretty quickly here.
Yeah, lots to do, lots to make happen. That beautiful gold Lost Vacuum hits the hand. Can Lost Zone any card from the hand, and in return also Lost Zone a Stadium or Tool card on Rahul's side of the field. In this instance, it will definitely be that Path to the Peak going away. Stoutland also hitting the Lost Zone here. That's a card that can come up in this mirror match. It does require you to have all 4 powerful colorless energies on it in order to knock out a Regieleki for the double dip fangs, extra prizes. It's something that can happen, but that involves you never having to do something like discard a powerful colorless, which Pedro has done right now.
I think we also saw one thrown away with Read the Win too.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Definitely not a strategy we're lined up for.
But now that Lugia V-Star can be grabbed, we will see the turn, 3 Summoning Star. It's a little slower than you'd like to see it, but, you know, your opponent only got 1 prize card. It slowed you down a bit, but there is quite a bit of damage in play to worry about as well.
And that does have the double Archeops to go along with it, so that'll be nice. But really, finding the attackers throughout the rest of the match here is going to be pretty tricky because, as we already mentioned, that Lugia is in the prize card, Lugia V-Star, and finding that at the right time when you basically got one more bench slot to work with, it's not good.
And I think that other bench slot is going to have to be committed to the Manaphy here most likely because you want to protect that Dunsparce from being KO'd by Terraspark.
Yep. The clock is definitely turning here as we see these energies attached by way of the Archeops Primal Turbo. Is there a way to get the Manaphy down this turn?
Yeah, I think Pedro may have it in the hand because he played the Irida this turn, right?
And he grabbed the Luminion.
He grabbed the Luminion, so it would make sense to me. I mean, we both know that he wants the Manaphy this turn, and Pedro probably knows he wants the Manaphy this turn, so I have a good feeling it's probably in this hand.
Well, don't have to worry about getting extra damage down. These Pokemon are going to fall pretty quickly, so the double turbo will be just fine. Going to consider even using the Lugia V as an attacker.
This is pretty interesting. Yeah, I was debating retreating, but with that double turbo energy, Arrow Blast on that, or sorry, Arrow Dive on that Lugia V actually is not doing enough damage to knock out Regieleki, so Pedro is really forced to attack with the Lugia V-Star here.
Yeah, I don't think Pedro likes how this knockout lines up here with the Giant Fangs of the Regidrago. So was thinking about maybe working in the Lugia V to try to help out and take a prize, but it wasn't going to get done.
So Rahul thins the hand down and then uses that Dragon's Horde ability to fill it back up to 4. Does find a supporter off of it, but has a few Regis in the hand, so he may just hold this hand because he's got outs to get the Regis back, you know, once Pedro takes a knockout on the next turn. And I think that's a play that would make a lot of sense.
Yep, you can get as aggressive as you want on the early turns, and understandably, he lost those Ordinary Rods, so now you have to play a little more conservative here.
The question here is just where do you want these energies to go? Because you probably should use Ancient Wisdom this turn. Where do you put the energies? And Regice is the one being the recipient.
Yeah, Blizzard Bind could actually do a little bit of work here if the second Lugia were to come out. You have an option to where you can make your opponent have to attack with something goofy to take a prize card, and I don't know if we're going to see that, but at least we do see the prizes here as Lugia V-Star is knocked out by Regidrago.
Pedro does send up this Lugia V, which with its Arrow Dive is not going to be able to get any KOs. That double turbo energy reducing the damage, and we know Pedro has prized a Lugia V-Star, but looks like Pedro's found himself a way to negate that damage reduction.
Yep, went ahead and searched out that powerful energy pretty quickly. Understands he's going to need to take as many prize cards as possible and start to clear out these threats. And this is kind of what you have to do with this spot. You're going to remove the path to the peak there, have access to his Luminion to maybe help out with a way to clean up the fact that Rahul's already taken 3 prize cards, and there's already damage on his Lugia as well.
So Rahul would love to find a way to get a KO on this Lugia V, but he's only got 2 attackers in his deck that can make it happen. It is the Regigigas and it's the Regidrago, and both of them require a Choice Belt in order to make it happen. He can set up this Regice as it does have free retreat, but let's see which of these attackers he tries to power up, or if he can even get to that point. And let's also remember, Rahul needs to be very careful here with a couple of Ordinary Routes already in his discard pile.
It looks like Energy Lotto is going to be finding the Gift Energy, so that could be a nice addition to this Pokemon here. You can go ahead and have that ready to go, and every time that your Pokemon's knocked out, you get to refill, maybe find some of those additional resources. And it's still going to be looking for the Regidrago this turn, so some more resources likely to fall here.
And does have Quick Ball to ditch that Gift Energy right away so that it can be grabbed back with the Ancient Wisdom. Could also, of course, just manually attach it if he needs to. Looking through the discard pile, Rahul checking his own resources here, seeing the energies, what he has available. Decent sized hand here, and I think he is sitting on the Marnie still too.
Quick Ball going to go ahead and throw away that Twin Energy, get the Regidrago rolling. And yeah, now we're going to see what the plan of action here is if you want to go ahead and just play down the Marnie and try to find the Choice Belt.
Yeah, I think the Marnie is getting played regardless, and so Rahul can play this in a way that he leaves himself options regardless of what happens, right? If he plays the Marnie and finds the Choice Belt, he can go with 1 attacker, but if not, Blizzard Bind might have to be the strat, right?
Absolutely. Well, we see the Quick Ball played down here, and now the Marnie. I think you still should probably shuffle. But
he had just shuffled right
okay,
before, yeah.
So
he had just played another Quick Ball, you know, simple communication between the players. think it's already a randomized deck. And off these 5, Kyle, do you see it? I don't think I do.
I see an ordinary rod. That's not what we're looking for, though, as the choice belt is on the Reg Ice and none are in the hand. So pretty tough here. Just going to go ahead and retreat to the Regigigas and try to get a little extra damage down here.
It brings the double twin energy and the gift energy back, so that can power up Gigaton Break all the way, but it's going to be 30 damage short of getting the KO here on to Lugia V. Pedro drawing for turn. Going to take a look once again at those resources, and you can see how important these resource wars can be for these two players, just taking note of everything that the other has already utilized.
Yep, we're getting down to about 20 minutes left in the match so far. Pedro up 1 and trying to work out a way to close things out here. Could potentially get down to that 3rd prize card now, but you're starting to look at what the rest of the path really entails and what attackers do you really want to start working towards here with already seeing this Lugia V having to put in most of the work.
Yeah, Archeops is going to be a decent attacking option. With 1 powerful energy, you're going to be boosting your damage to knock out all of the Regis, except for Regigigas, but you can fix that with maybe 1 more powerful attachment. And with no path to the peak in play, Pedro feels pretty free to grab this Luminion to fetch out Boss's orders. What do you think he wants to target?
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the discard pile. Of course, Pedro doesn't know that one of the last Ordinary Rod's actually in the hand for Rahul. So this might be exactly what Rahul was looking for.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting as well because it will be the Regieleki being brought into the active. It is, of course, that targeted Bolt Regieleki, which is not the one that Rahul is normally wanting to have in play. So it almost feels like this, well, I mean, obviously it's getting Pedro a prize card. Maybe it helps Rahul a little bit.
Thank you. I'll gladly give up this prize card here, and this is going to work out fairly well. Of course, going to try to protect that Lugia V. It's got a lot of damage on it, so going to move into that Archeops, but There's a world where Terraspark can definitely do something if that mana fee goes away.
Yeah, things are set up pretty decently for Rahul as well, though. He's got 3 prize cards remaining. If he can just knock out this Archeops and then find Serena or Boss to close out on this Lugia, he's going to win the game. So it's just going to be a matter, I think, of can he do that. One thing to note as well by Pedro using the Boss's orders, he did play around the gift energy, which is a really good play that we see from these players.
Yep, see if you can avoid giving your opponent those resources. We are going to see that Ordinary Rod, however, and immediately the quick ball is ready to go bring it back that Regieleki, and still going to go with the targeted Bolt Regieleki.
Yeah, maybe targeted Bolt can be a little bit more useful if you ever find a room to bring up the mana fee, because obviously that Lugia V on the bench is the one that's damaged. So now, if you knock out mana fee, you don't need Boss to knock out Lugia. But, I mean, at this point, if we just run through this Archeops in the active, Boss on Manaphy, Boss on Lugia, we're taking out Lugia anyway, right?
Right. You can have 12 prize cards lined up. You still only need to take 6.
Leaving himself with plenty of options, though, Rahul will use that Ancient Wisdom and does prep the other gift energy on this Pokemon. He actually even has the Serena in the hand currently. So Gigaton Break takes this KO, and he's holding on to game. Question now is, does Pedro have the Marnie, and does he even play it?
Well, you're going to avoid those V Pokemon right here, as you don't want to be playing with those in the active position. Leaves the Archeops, but you also don't want to attack with that either. You'd like to have access to some additional energies. So is there another Pokemon along with a way to disrupt the hand? We do see that Marnie in hand, so that should be pretty effective.
It does have to be an attacker as well that can be powered up by just 1 Archeops, because you attacked with 1 last turn, so now it's gone to the discard pile. You're only going to have 1 Primal Turbo, which means only 2 energy to pull out of the deck.
Yep. Probably lines up well with a Pokemon like Radiant Charizard in this spot, but we'll see if that resource is available.
Yeah, Radiant Charizard would be an excellent attacker here. With Rahul down to just 2 prize cards remaining, it can use its attack for just 1 energy thanks to Excited Heart, that ability that reduces the cost for each prize card your opponent has taken, and Rahul does not have a path to the peak in play currently.
Oh, looks like we're going to see the Aurora energies onto the Archeops here, so...
Yeah, it's not getting a knockout even on this Regigigas yet, so Pedro must have a powerful in hand, or he's going with another boss here, potentially.
This lines up for a boss play onto perhaps the Drago. Or we could see, once again, targeting that Regieleki.
Yeah, he may want to get around gift energy. Let's see. because if he brings up the Drago, he gives Rahul gift energy either way, and that's just, I mean, I think it's pretty clear here what Rahul needs to close out this game. It's just going to be a gusting card plus one more Regi, so what is the most likely one to get rid of? And it actually will be the Drago being brought up. Yeah,
with the prize count the way it is, Pedro's going to have to dodge it at some point. And he said, if you have it, you do. Sure enough, Serena ready to go. We're going to be moving on to game number 3 here with 15 minutes left.
Yeah, and Rahul didn't even need another Regi, by the way, as well, because that Drago, or that both the Drago and the Regigigas were already powered up, ready to go. So Serena was going to be the way to close out the game. Rahul ready, able to take it to a game 3 here against Pedro Pertusi. Both of these players at 4-0-1. Getting to 5-0-1 means you just have to win one of your last few rounds to get into day 2. So both of these players want it, and it's coming to a game 3.
Yep. Of course, the Latin American young phenom himself, Pedro Pertusi, trying to make his way to 5-0-1 here and continue on the hot streak that he's been on. Rahul Reddy has been trying so diligently throughout the course of the last few years to put his name at the top spot, and he has done just that. He's sitting at the top of the travel rewards and has continued to do so excellently. Just really would love to add a huge finish to his resume, and has an opportunity here to work his way to 5-0-1. Pace of play has been excellent from both of these players, and I'm really excited to see us probably get a full game 3 now.
Yeah, this is a tournament that actually has a lot of meaning to Rahul as well. He lost his win-in of the OCIC back in 2020. That same OCIC, or so maybe it was 2019 actually, that same OCIC that Henry beat him on the win-in. Henry makes it into top 8. Rahul misses out. And then later on that year, Henry goes on to win the World Championships. Rahul was devastated after that defeat. I mean, it's a famous moment because, you know, it was just evident how much it meant to him, and he lost that win-in match. So it would mean so much to him to get back into day 2 and be able to try to fight for another top 8 spot.
Yeah, he's got a great opportunity here right now. Starting off so strongly in this tournament. He's going to have to stare down Pedro here, starting things off with the capture energy. Going to get that Lugia setup that we've so often seen. And can we see the Regis pull it off one more time?
Stoutland is going to be the starter. Not ideal. It's got a pretty hefty 3 retreat cost. You don't love to see it in the active. We mentioned how it could come up as an attacker with the double dip fangs. If you get all 4 of your powerful energies and attack into specifically the Terra Spark Regieleki. I mean, and honestly, if there's a time to do it, you know, early turns is going to be the most likely opportunity before you've gone through the deck and maybe had to utilize those powerful energies.
Or we just wild tackle everything, Chip, you know? Sometimes it calls for aggression. This is pretty aggressive here from Rahul. Going to slap down that path to the peak and use that Marnie here to disrupt potentially Pedro, who got 0 cards into the discard pile last turn.
Yeah, no Archeops down. Did at minimum get that Lugia, but with path to peak in play, it's going to be a little bit more of an uphill battle. As now Rahul playing that Hisuian Heavy Ball, I do believe grabbed out the Regirock and is going to set these prizes out once again. Rahul's trying to play quickly here. He's not got the strongest of hands. We do see that Regi stealing the active spot, and it looks like we're going to see that Regigate attack being launched, searching the deck for a basic Pokemon, and Regidrago is definitely the best one to grab here so that if this Registeel goes down, you can promote it and try to draw cards with Dragon's Horde.
Yeah, Rahul is 1 Serena, 1 Professor's Research away from having everything that he wants. I believe double Aurora is in the 3-card hand, so if he can get those at the right time, of course that's going to be ridiculous to get all of these attacks off as early as the 2nd turn. Pedro now is going to have to figure out a strategy, and with that path locked in, that's just going to be a pass.
Whoa, a draw, attach, and pass from Pedro. Not much going on, but I don't think Rahul has much going on either.
It's a quick ball, though,
okay.
So he can get down all of the Pokemon and use the Aurora energy, go to 0 cards.
Yeah, he can attack with Heavy Slam, but Heavy Slam into the Stoutland, I mean, it does, so listen, the Heavy Slam does 220 damage, but it does 50 less damage for each of your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost, and Stoutland has a 3 retreat.
That's a big pup. We're not doing too much to him. But at least you could get the chip damage in, I suppose, and then maybe work in a decent other attacker to follow up.
So I think this is actually probably the smart play from Rahul. He chose not to use the Quick Ball, chose to just use Regigate, and now he has the Quick Ball in his hand so that if Pedro was able to get the knockout, he could find the other attacker.
Wow, and Rahul is going to see path to the peak and actually hold it.
And we do go with the Regirock as the attacker, taking 2 prizes on the Fighting Week Stoutland. Rahul is really pressing the advantage here. Pedro looking for some help, something to draw to get him out of this spot. And if he doesn't have anything, at minimum, he can use Read the Wind, but that is such a slow play in this position where your opponent in this matchup is already up 2 prizes.
Yeah, we're going to see the Ultra Ball here. Is the Pumpkaboo potentially available to remove the path to the peak?
Yeah, but he needs more than just Pumpkaboo as well. He needs another Archeops in the discard pile. He needs a Lugia V-Star, and one Ultra Ball can't get him all of those things. And he's actually just going to use this opportunity to get down Dunsparce to try to survive the turn.
Yeah, just understands that you're going to need to avoid giving up these prize cards here. Play down the Dunsparce, use Read the Wind. Maybe you find all of those cards that will help you find the combination to avoid the path and draw into maybe that Summoning Star.
Yeah, maybe give you a supporter as well to
Oh,
work
those are
with.
good, yeah.
Pedro misses supporters, that is for sure. At this spot, though, Rahul can freely retreat that Regirock. That's one of my favorite things to do with this deck because you can just move your Pokemon around, bring all those energies back into play. It feels like there's no cost at all, and Terra Spark is going to lay down the damage. 120 to the active, 40 on each of these benched Pokemon. Dunsparce now only 20 HP remaining. If Pedro doesn't find Manaphy, that's going down next turn.
Yeah, this is very dangerous here. Lugia is at a huge threat here. It could be potentially knocked out. The Dunsparce also, and that would mean that Rahul's just down to 1 prize card remaining. And this happened so quickly, Chip. Look at the clock. We were looking at 14 minutes when we were moving in, and I don't think we're going to be worried about this game closing out.
Yeah, Rahul plays so quickly, and he knows exactly what he needs to do. That's kind of the benefit of playing a deck like Regi's, where your flow chart is pretty straightforward every single turn with what you want to do. And Pedro's finding himself in another interesting spot. With 2 Pokemon on his bench, he's not really able to bench Manaphy and Pumpkaboo, but he may have to bench both of these Pokemon if he wants to get the Lugia V-Star. But I don't even think he has the option to, Kyle. I don't see a supporter once again.
Yeah.
Another Read the Wind?
This is so bad. Just going to go ahead and throw away the Aurora Energy, holding Radiant Charizard and hoping to find something. But you're going to lose too many prize cards this way. Sure enough, Rahul's just going to continue to throw down energies and take prizes.
No damage to the bench, but 2 more prizes taken as Lugia V hits the discard pile. 2 prizes left for Rahul. Pedro, I think with this play, is planning to promote this Lugia. Does have the Radiant Charizard, so he's going to try to attack with this single prize Pokemon, but at this point, his game plan involves Rahul whiffing massively, and it is just so statistically unlikely to happen whenever Rahul just has so many resources still available to him in the deck.
Yeah, he's been conserving them as well. He's holding on to another Regieleki. He held on to the Quick Ball, so he's going to find ways to use this Regigigas ability, Ancient Wisdom, and continue to find these energies. And I mean, any Pokemon can attack. I think Registeel could go ahead and get the job done if it wanted to.
Yeah, Rahul's got so much time to try and make something happen. Pedro is able to play the handout. Looks like there is an Ultra Ball, so he can grab Pumpkaboo, but I do think there is just 1 Archeops in the discard pile. At this point, it's what he has to do. Pumpkin Pit, get rid of that path, use that Summoning Star, bring out the Archeops, and bring a couple energy into play, but with just the 1 Archeops, I don't know. I mean, it's just an uphill battle regardless. Pedro may want to go in with the Charizard here. We know it's in his hand, and with the double turbo, he could retreat the Lugia as well.
Well, we will see just that single Archeops here, and I mean, it's enough energies to help you out this turn. I don't know if with next turn it would be very impactful, as we're going to be running into a lot of trouble here. The Lugia V-Star getting the additional damage down next turn is almost game-ending, as there are so many ways for Rahul to bring that Pokemon back into the active spot and take those final 2 prize cards.
There could possibly be a route for Pedro if he played something like Collapsed Stadium. He could attack with a Lugia, let it take a hit, retreat it, collapse Stadium in a way, but it's just not a card he's choosing to play this weekend.
Well, we see the path that Rahul held on to, going to lock back in, avoid those Luminion shenanigans this time around, and maybe that helps him hold on to this hand here. Could avoid a Marnie coming down and make use of these. Even going to play down a Capture Energy. You know that you've got the embarrassment of riches here if you're going to be doing that.
I like how in game 1 we saw Rahul discard the Astro Radiance Regieleki, that targeted Bolt Regieleki, because you know, he wanted the other one in play in the matchup, but at this point, he doesn't want to whiff his attack. So Regieleki's coming down, and we're not thinking twice about it.
Yeah, it's pretty good to just keep playing Pokemon and get these energies back into play here. Can even disrupt your opponent here with the Blizzard Pine too, and that is so much that's working against Pedro here.
It's going to be the best attack option for Rahul here. He'll deal 130 damage, and there was no way that he was going to be able to get to 240 to knock out that Lugia V-Star, so might as well use something like the Blizzard Bind, try to disrupt Pedro, and with Path to the Peak being in play now, that Excited Heart ability from the Radiant Charizard with a rule box is not even active.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're going to avoid that as a potential answer here. Archeops still can help out into setting up a Pokemon, but what's left at this stage, it's really just going to have to be Archeops, Oranguru. Who does anything at this stage? Basically, Archeops has to attack.
Yeah, at this point, it's looking like Archeops. I mean, a few powerful energy onto the Oranguru. If you get, what, 3 powerful energy onto it, you're dealing 130, so that should be enough to get the KO, but that's a big commitment as well onto your Guru, and it, with only 1 Archeops in play, involves you having a powerful in the hand.
Yeah, that's so much here. We've seen the resources just being thrown away with Read the Wind, trying to get anything done here.
I think it was just a Guru and Pray at this point, and there is no help there for Pedro. I think it was a double turbo energy as the draw.
We'll see what energies are selected. Going to go with the 2 powerful energies onto the Archeops.
I think, if we see the retreat and attack with Archeops, yeah, I mean, it's almost just writing on the wall. It's going to be 2 turns before Pedro can even power up an attacker that's not this Archeops. And Rahul could close it out right here if he has the boss's orders, which he's able to draw into. Does need to get 1 more Regi in play as long as the other Regice is here available to him. Rahul should have it, and I think he sees the line. We're going to see that Regigigas throw those energies into play, use boss's orders, take out Lugia V-Star, and Rahul Reddy moves to 5-0-1 here at Oceania International
that was fire.
Championships.
Regigigas. Every time you count it out, it shows why it is so formidable. And what a way to flex here on stream. 5-0-1 now for Rahul Reddy, taking down one of the best in Latin America.